Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. It's June 23rd, 2018. How's everyone doing this morning? I hope you're well. Alright. Big Pharma vaccine billionaire just bought the LA Times. Now, a lot of people, you know, the sheeple kind of people, they ask, well, how do these corporations and government officials and this and that get away with what they do when we have a vigilant news media? And it's really simple. The news media is owned by the billionaires, right? Like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, these people, Ted Turner. So this should not be a surprise, but I would say that he will end up using the LA Times here for vaccine propaganda. UAE officers filmed themselves raping and torturing men in Yemen in these hidden prisons. And there are hidden prisons in, well, in all the countries are military and government occupies. They have these hidden prisons, and we saw the tip of the iceberg there with regard to Abu Ghraib, I believe that's how it's said anyway, where the what do you call them, people? Interrogators? Prison guards, maybe? They filmed themselves doing fucked up things to their prisoners. And they wonder why our country is so hated around the world. Could it be because they do things like this? Apparently Michael Pompeo demands a bunch of stuff from Iran. In response to Pompeo's ridiculous demands of Iran in order to avoid U.S. sanctions has been issued by the Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif. The statement covers not only Trump's erratic behavior and his serial withdrawal to multilateral agreements, as well as the threats to other multinational organizations, but it also delves into the history of U.S.-Iran relations going back a few decades, just in case Mike Pompeo happened to be suffering a bit of amnesia on the matter, or hasn't bothered to read up on the subject. Our country has meddled in the Iranian or in Iran's business for a while, decades, like it says. Trump has called for Pentagon to make beds available for 20,000 children at U.S. military bases. Responsibility for unaccompanied children and families who arrived in the U.S. via the southern border appeared to shift to the U.S. military on Tuesday as the Trump administration called on the Pentagon to make preparations to house approximately 20,000 children on military bases. What could go wrong there, right? Amazon hires an army of lobbyists as political spending outpaces Walmart and ExxonMobil. Amazon's going to be one of only a few entities left after the economy collapses. Soros steams that Trump's revolution in world affairs is succeeding. I'm not aware of this revolution in affairs. I mean, okay, he went and met with Kim Jong-un, but at what price to North Korea? So Soros is laminating that his desired world order is under threat because of Trump. Now, make no mistake about it, Trump just wants to be in control of the new world order. Not that he has any problem with it. So, expressing frustration that everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, the billionaire financier of countless color revolutions all across the world told the Washington Post that he was living in his own bubble because he failed to foresee Trump's meteoric rise. Fearful that Trump is willing to destroy the world, as he put it, he vowed to redouble his efforts and pouring millions of dollars into opposing everything that Trump stands for across the world. Excuse me. Here's a good one for you. Farm bill with huge giveaways to pesticide industry passes the House. Why is that not a surprise? I mean, pesticide is all over. It's in our air. It's everywhere. But a farm bill that opponents say would harm endangered species, land conservation efforts, small-scale farmers, and food stamp recipients passed the U.S. House of Representatives 213 to 211, with every House Democrat and 20 Republicans voting against it, the Center for Biological Diversity reported. And this is one that's really fucking sick. And okay, border agent arrested for massive cache of child porn hired by immigrant shelter to work with kids. In Brownsville, Texas, a Border Patrol agent who was arrested on child pornography charges was given direct access to children when he was hired by an immigration shelter, according to reports detailing the conditions thousands of immigrant children are subject to when they are separated from their parents and then detained in shelters across the country. So they give some pervert access to small children, and you know it's intentional. It's got to be. North and South Korea are preparing to reunite families divided by war. That's a good thing. Israel demolished, sealed 48 homes of resistance fighters. Israeli occupation authorities have demolished and sealed 48 houses belonging to Palestinians under the pretext that one of their residents carried out attacks against Israeli targets, a new report revealed. The Abdullah al-Harani Center for Studies and Documentation said in a report yesterday that occupation forces demolished 43 houses on charges that one of their residents had carried out resistance operations against Israeli targets and sealed 5 houses with reinforced concrete. Isn't that just nice of them? Oh, now broadcasters are going to counter ad skipping by replacing ads with short inspirational videos. Cable and broadcast industry have gone to some petty or pretty absurd lengths, I would say petty as well, to avoid having to adapt to the cord-cutting era. As ad-skipping DVRs started to become popular, the industry's response wasn't to embrace natural evolution, it was to file a bunch of lawsuits and creatively harass companies that were trying to give customers what they wanted. We'd still skip those damn inspirational videos because they're fake. Chemotherapy actually triggers the spread of cancer in adjacent areas, science confirms. Cancer patients have to face a lot of tough decisions, and one of the biggest ones is whether or not to get chemotherapy. It is offered, or if it's offered for their particular diagnosis. A lot of people struggle with this decision because they're concerned about the side effects, which are admittedly pretty severe. Now, my father-in-law died last year before, and he got chemotherapy, and he just got worse and worse and worse the more he did it, and finally he was gone. I mean, it makes you susceptible to a number of diseases or infections. He actually, I think, died from staph infection. Yeah, because chemotherapy really weakens your immune system. Towns create gun store free zones. Confident Constitution is on their side. Officials in New Jersey, fed up with federal inaction, are flexing policy muscles rarely used to regulate gun dealers. Local zoning codes that effectively ban firearms stores. To give the crackdown constitutional cover, they took cues from a recent federal court decision on the other side of the country. They're trying to get your guns one way or another. I say your guns because I'm not foolish enough to trust the government to let any of them know what I have through registration or anything else. How U.S. policy in Honduras set the stage for today's mass migration. U.S. policy in Honduras, particularly during the Obama administration, is directly responsible for part of the immigration crisis now gripping the U.S., argues Joseph Nevins. This is all on Blacklisted News, by the way. And right above that article, Mexican presidential candidate Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador called for mass immigration to the United States during a speech Thursday. Consider the columns of young men marching into Europe from Syria, or the people thrown against the Gazan border in a foolish exercise this spring, dozens died, or the effort in Mexico to march a column of refugees through the country to the border to create a giant photo op. Yeah. Shocking video shows cop tried to kill a dog, shoots 9-year-old girl in the face instead. Well, what do you suppose will happen to this so-called hero, so-called man of the law? What do you think is going to happen to him? Harrowing video shows a cop fear for his life over a small barking dog and try to kill it. He misses and hits a 9-year-old girl in the face instead. And finally, U.S. Embassy in Cuba sees 25th victim of mysterious attacks. The State Department revealed that another diplomat working in the U.S. Embassy in Cuba has fallen victim to a mysterious attack. The diplomat, who is now the Havana-based embassy's 25th individual to be infected or affected, was evacuated to the U.S. to be medically evaluated. Wow. Exclusive video shows cop hold innocent unarmed young men at gunpoint to find out who they are. Watch, will make some shit up. Cop pulls over daughter's innocent boyfriend caught framing him. Border agent arrested for, or I think I already mentioned this. Yeah, I did. But just think of that. Just think that these people had to have known that he was arrested for this massive cache of child porn, and yet they give him access to children. Why would they do that? Young migrant girls under black blankets being moved from New York facility at 1 a.m. Why would they have to do it in the cover of darkness and have these girls blanketed? the whole thing with these shelters for these migrants, children, really stink. They reek of perversion. Activists swarmed by cops, arrested, phone seized while desecrating a thin blue line flag. You can't have that shit, can you? Vegas security guard claims Stephen Paddock shot him with a bead or pellet gun as he just hangs out. Oh man, the state of things continue to get worse and worse, and nobody gives a fuck. Alright, finally, we are here at Zero Hedge. Americans' military drops a bomb every 12 minutes, and no one is talking about it. By the way, people thought Barack Obama was bad about using drones and dropping bombs, but Donald Trump is beating his record and George W. Bush's, so you know, there's your candidate there, doing what he said he wouldn't do. We live in a state of perpetual war, and we never feel it. And we're gonna feel it. While you get your gelato at the hip place where they put those cute little mint leaves on the side, someone is being bombed in your name. While you argue with the 17-year-old at the movie theater who gave you a small popcorn when you paid for a large, someone is being obliterated in your name. While we sleep and eat and make love and shield our eyes on a sunny day, someone's home, family, life, and body are blown into thousands of pieces in our names. Yeah, okay. Once every 12 minutes, actually, the United States military drops an explosive with a strength you can hardly comprehend once every 12 minutes. And that's odd because we're technically at war with, let me think, 0 countries. So that should mean 0 bombs are being dropped, right? Oh, hell no. How would the military-industrial complex make all of its money if, no, they weren't dropping these bombs? They say, hell no, you've made the common mistake of confusing our world with some sort of rational, cogent world in which our military-industrial complex is under control. The music industry is based on merit and talent. Legos have gently rounded edges, so when you step on them with bare feet, it doesn't feel like an armor-piercing bullet just shot straight through your sphincter. And humans are dealing with climate change like adults rather than burying our heads in the sand while trying to convince ourselves that the sand around our heads isn't getting really, really hot. I don't know about that, because there's one group that says no, the Earth is actually cooling because of the solar minimum, and it's been cooling for some time, and plus there's more Arctic ice. And then you have the other group that says the exact opposite. You're thinking of a rational world. We do not live in a rational world. Instead, we live in a world where the Pentagon is completely and utterly out of control. A few weeks ago, I wrote about the 21 trillion, and that's not a typo, that has gone unaccounted for at the Pentagon, but I didn't get into the number of bombs that ridiculous amount of money buys us. President George W. Bush's military dropped 70,000 bombs on 5 countries. But of that outrageous number, only 57 of those bombs really upset the international community. All of them should have upset the international community. 70,000 fucking bombs. Because there were 57 strikes in Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen, countries the U.S. was neither at war with nor had ongoing conflicts with, and the world was kind of horrified. There was a lot of talk that went something like, wait a second, we're bombing in countries outside of war zones. Is it possible that that's a slippery slope ending in us just bombing all the goddamn time? No. Which president follows Bush will be a normal adult person, or whichever president, with a functional brainstem of some sort, and will therefore stop this madness. We were so cute and naive back then, like a kitten when it's first waking up in the morning. The Bureau of Investigative Journalism reported that under President Barack Obama there were 563 strikes, largely by drone, that targeted Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen. It's not just the fact that bombing outside of a war zone is a horrific violation of international law and global norms, it's also the morally reprehensible targeting of people for pre-crime, which is what we're doing and what Tom Cruise movie, or the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report, warned us about. Humans are very bad at taking the advice of sci-fi dystopias. If we listened to 1984, we wouldn't have allowed the existence of the National Security Agency. If we listened to the Terminator, we wouldn't have allowed the existence of drone warfare, among other things. And if we listened to the Matrix, we wouldn't have allowed the vast majority of humans to get lost in a virtual reality of spectacle, vapid nonsense, while oceans die in a swarm of plastic waste. But, you know, who's counting? There was basically a media blackout while Obama was president. You could count on one hand the number of mainstream media reports on the Pentagon's daily bombing campaigns under Obama, and even when the media did mention it, the underlying sentiment was, yeah, but look at how suave Obama is while he's okaying endless destruction. He's like the Steve McQueen of aerial death. And let's take a moment to wipe away the idea that our advanced weaponry hits only bad guys. As David DeGraw put it, according to the CIA's own documents, the people on the kill list who were targeted for death by drone accounted for only 2% of the deaths caused by drone strikes. 2%. Really, Pentagon? You got 2 on the test? You get 5 points just for spelling your name right. But those 70,000 bombs dropped by Bush, it was child's play. McGraw or DeGraw again. Obama dropped 100,000 bombs in 7 countries. He outbombed Bush by 30,000 bombs and 2 countries. You have to admit that's impressively horrific. That puts Obama in a very elite group of Nobel Peace Prize winners who have killed that many innocent civilians. The reunions are mainly just him and Henry Kissinger wearing little hand-drawn name tags and munching on deviled eggs. However, we now know that Donald Trump's administration puts all previous presidents to shame. The Pentagon's numbers show that during George Bush's 8 years, he averaged 24 bombs per day, which is 8,750 a year. Over the course of Obama's time in office, his military dropped 34 bombs a day, 12,500 per year. And in Trump's first year in office, he averaged 121 bombs dropped per day for an annual total of 44,096. Trump's military dropped 44,000 bombs in his first year in office. So, Trump's military dropped 44,000 bombs in his first year. He has basically taken the gloves off the Pentagon, taken the leash off an already rabid dog, so the end result is a military that's behaving like Lil Wayne crossed with Conor McGregor. You look away for 1 minute, look back, and are like, what the fuck did you just do? I was only gone for a second. Under Trump, 5 bombs are dropped per hour. Every hour of every day. That averages out to a bomb every 12 minutes. And which is more outrageous, the crazy amount of death and destruction we are creating around the world, or the fact that your mainstream corporate media basically never investigates it? They talk about Trump's flaws. They say he's a racist, a self-centered idiot, but they don't criticize the perpetual Amityville massacre our military perpetrates by dropping a bomb every 12 fucking minutes, most of them killing 98% non-targets. The government can't do anything right. Nothing. Don't you understand that yet? And if they can't do anything right, why the fuck do you trust them? It don't make any sense. Oh wait, we don't live in a world of logic, right? When you have a Department of War with a completely unaccountable budget, as we saw with the $21 trillion, and have a president with no interest in overseeing how much death the Department of War is responsible for, then you end up dropping so many bombs that the Pentagon has reported we are running out of bombs. Oh dear God, if we run out of our bombs, then how will we stop all those innocent civilians from farming? Think of all the goats that will be allowed to go on about their days. And as with the 21 trillion, the theme seems to be unaccountable. And that's really what it boils down to. They are unaccountable for any crime against us, the people of their country, and them, the people that are being bombed every 12 minutes. 98% of which are what? Just farmers, innocent women and children, goats. But you don't hear any of these sycophant Trump supporters talking about any of this, do you? While busting Obama's balls every fucking move he made. And don't get me wrong, I think his balls should have been busted, but the point is they're only willing to bust the balls of the people who are on the other side and not their own people, when everyone should be held accountable, especially people with power. Anyway, I thought I would share this with you. I hope you all have a good morning. Until next time. Well, hold on a second. We are a rogue nation with a rogue military and a completely unaccountable ruling elite. The government and military you and I support for being or by being a part of this society are murdering people every 12 minutes, and in response there's nothing but a ghostly silence. Yep. And that should be our flag. Anyway, kill the state before the state kills you.